Hi folks, Dave with DBS Tech Talk, and today we're going to talk about the Shozy Form 1.1s. Want to thank Farsal the Wizard for sending these over for review. Do greatly appreciate it. And have one word for the Shozy Form 1.1s, unique. These are very unique, and not sure if I really do recommend them. All right, let's take a look at them. So here's the back of the pack. Excuse me. Wow. Let's try that again. Let's take a closer look. Let's take a closer look at the Shozy Form 1.1s. So here's a look at the back side of the package. And as you can see, we have a little bit of a frequency diagram. And it's a bass, bass, bass. Mid-bass has a little bit of recession to it. And then you get a treble peak and then a steep drop off. And pretty much where that peak is about 6K to about 8K. There is a drop between about 5K, 4.5K to about 5.5 to 6K, somewhere right in there. So it kind of goes, dips just a little bit and then peaks and then drops. And that drop is at 12K. So you lose a lot of treble. So these are very interesting. They have 9.2 millimeter beryllium coated dynamic driver. And then they have a balanced armature. Balanced armature is for the mids and treble, and the beryllium coated dynamic driver is for the bass. Beryllium drivers tend to be a faster, more responsive, and more punchy in the bass areas, and I would say absolutely. Take a look at inside the box. Flip lid connected via magnets makes it very nice, and you just get a very simple carrying case reminiscent of most in-ears about this price range. Inside you get your in-ears, and then you get a bag full of tips, and when I say full, you get a lot of tips, and they're all really good. The silicones have a uniqueness to them. I'm going to use that word a lot. So, unlike most silicones, these are not mushy. They have a little stiffness to them. They almost feel like a foam tip. And I really enjoy these. In fact, I like these silicones better than I do the foams that come with it. The foams aren't bad, but the foams just added too much of a thickness and a fullness to the bass, and it overpowered the rest of the signature. But the silicones are really nice and are super comfy. And I would say that these are one of the better silicones. They remind me a lot of RHA dual density tips, and I really enjoy those. Alright, so the in-ears themselves, the cable is actually really nice. It's a fabric braid. You have a metal connector with some carbon fiber in the middle. Looks really nice, has this really cool little design on it. Can't really get it to focus on camera. There we go. 3.5 millimeter. Has a little bit of strain relief. Has plenty of length. And then it goes to a connector, which also has that carbon fiber on it. And then you get at your split, you get your single fabrics. Goes to your in-ears, which are they have this slider thing, which is really odd. It's like a little clear bead. and it does nothing. So when it's up here, it just slides right down. You put it up top, and it just slides back down. So it's basically one of those little beads that you'd get when you were a kid and you made your necklace. And it's just kind of, I don't get the purpose of it. So it doesn't work. It's a 2-pin, and they are marked so that you will know which one is for right. Red is right, the clear one is left. And they just connect in. Whoops, that is the bass port, Dave. And they just connect in just like so. There you go, when you do it proper. When you do it correctly, they connect easily. Just follow the red and the clear. Don't do it like I did. Anyways, very well built. They're extremely light. And they have a little bit chunk to them, but not too bad. I would say they're about the same chunkiness as a iBosso IT01. But they have a little bit curved edges, which make them sit in your ears a little better. On the back side, they do have a bass vent. And then they say Shozy on the front here, and they have a little bit of sparkliness added in, so they have like a speckled look. And if you get it in the right light, they are somewhat transparent. You can kind of see inside. They have a nice, get away from there, decent size neck on it with a little lip on your port and bore. And then they have an interesting where the filter is. It's a little recessed and has a thickness about it. I used double flange tips. I found that those sounded the best. They go in your ears very nicely, and they just sit there. Isolate decently, not the greatest. I would say probably 50-60%, maybe a little bit more isolation, outside noises. Not any earth-shattering technology here. Do a little better with foams than they do silicones in isolating, but they do a decent job, for a quieter office setting or something like that. If you're going to go to a racetrack or baseball game, something like that, where there's going to be a lot of people around, these wouldn't do the trick. Overall, build quality is alright for the price tag. I mean, actually, I think it's better than what the price tag calls for. The cable is very nice, and the build of these feels very durable and looks nice. So, yeah, you're definitely getting your money's worth as far as quality of look and comfort. The sound. You all saw the frequency graph, and it's unique. Bass on these is insanely good. Very nice, deep rumble. It's got a nice punch to it, and it has a good clarity and details. The mid bass is a little more emphasized than the sub bass, but the sub bass does reach down. Doesn't go the deepest of deep, but it goes far enough to impress. And it has good clarity, good control all the way down through. The mid bass is a little bit more prominent, and the upper bass also is a little more prominent, and it does bleed into the mids slightly, which is a good thing because it gives it a little bit of full bodiness, a little bit of just a more girth in the lower trebles of the, or lower mids region. It does add a little bit of more thickness tone to it. It has good tonality in the mids. Where it gets into trouble is in that dip. So you start seeing that dip about 5K, 4.5K, 5K, somewhere in there to about 6K. And it's a slight dip. It's not a big dip, but it's enough to go down. And you can notice a little bit of unevenness in vocals. So male vocalists, female vocalists that have a little bit lower of a voice sound better than vocalists that have a higher register. So tenors for males, sopranos, things like that. A lot of opera or choral music, they will sound a little unbalanced. You'll have the more deeper voices will sound more full and alive. The higher registered vocals will sound a little bit distant and a little bit pulled back, and it's a little strange and can kind of throw you off, especially in mixed groups. Then you get that peak going up, and it's a significant trek up. And so you go from about 6K to about 8K, and it's a climb, and then it starts to come back down. And when it comes down, it goes to about 12K, and then it just shears off. And so the upper mids and lower treble are very aggressive. They can come across as shouty, harsh, and borderline sibilant. They're kind of like the Fostex T50 RP stock. You're on a road and you have a solid line to cross, or or you can't cross, but it always is as close as it can get to crossing over a left of center and becoming in the danger zone. And every now and then it will veer on some songs, but for the most part, it's just super close to that center line. And it's just like, I want to go left of center, but I'm not. And it's just borderline sharp and bright. And then it drops. And when it gets to that 12K and just drops, you lose a lot of detail and a lot of clarity and extension in the treble. And it just sounds kind of pinched or cut off. You just wish that sometimes those cymbals would crash a little longer. Sometimes you wish that those vocals would just hang a little bit longer. There's just something missing in the treble. It just sounds off, and that causes that peak area to sound unnatural. Doesn't sound metallic. It just sounds unnatural, like it's being forced. Like somebody has a microphone and has that microphone turned up too loud and everything else is where it should be. It just sounds like it's being forced upon you. The soundstage on these is very small. It is a very much in your head IEM. It's very intimate and very close. It does a good job of separating out instruments and doing that. And it does a decent job of imaging within the very small soundstage. I guess if you have a bigger head, maybe your soundstage will be bigger. Anyways, yeah, that made sense. Anyways, within the very limited soundstage that it has, the instruments are placed well. For the most part, they're a little bit right, left, center. The vocalist always seems to be mostly right in the center, but it does a decent job of placing instruments within the limited space that it has until you get a busier track. So for example, if you have a big orchestra piece playing, you will have a lot of stuff get clumped together and it'll sound muddled. It'll sound a little bit thick in an area and you won't be able to really decipher the different instruments. But on more simple pieces of music, you will be able to determine each instrument and vocalist. But it's just really close and it just sounds like everything's being forced on you. It's just a very close experience. So the Shozy Form 1.1s are very unique sound. They are not for everybody, and they are not for me. Instead, I would recommend two others. So if you really want to have the bass impact, but you want to have a little more detail and clarity and a more even balance, so you don't have the dips and the climb in the mids and treble, I would recommend the Blonde BL03. You're going to still get nice bass impact and good clarity and detail, and you have a wider soundstage and a better imaging and details within the soundstage. And these will not, these extend a lot better in the treble so that you get more of that extension and things don't sound pinched and cut off in the treble like they do on the Shozy. If you want a more neutral sound with more clarity and detail, bigger soundstage, and a better imaging and details than the Blonde or the Shozy, I would recommend the Ibasso IT01s. And the Ibasso IT01s do have a brighter signature and a more natural sound to them, but they are more analytical and critical sounding as they lean to be a little bit more on the neutral side of things. But I would recommend those two over the Shozy Form 101s. The Shozy Form 101s are for someone who really likes bass and likes to get details, and doesn't mind having them be a little on the unnatural side, or to be a little bit on the forced, and also likes an intimate soundstage. Not for me. This has been Dave with DBS Tech Talk. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you on the next video. Speaking of next video, somewhere on the screen is going to be a notification link, a subscription link and a notification bell. If you haven't already, please check those off. I would be greatly appreciated. If you would really like this channel and want to support it in some way, or have questions regarding it, or would like to know what gear is being used, check out the links down below. Thank you and have yourself a fantastic day.